Celebrate you all. My name is Chinedu from the Coza campus. For a cumulative of 3.5 years, I was without a paid job. It was exactly in 2018 August when I lost my job and life became very difficult. The future looked very bleak and I didn't know where to turn. The kids didn't have food to eat. They were literally at home for a whole term without going to school because there was no money to pay fees. The bills were mounting, the debts were there we couldn't pay, and finally, the rent was due and we got an eviction. We had no choice but to move to an outskirt of town in an environment called Angwan Fulani, a neighborhood of cattle rearers and villagers. It was such a horrible environment, but we didn't have a choice. There were times when I had to go to church. Of course, without transport, I would stand at the bus stop to flag down taxis and beg for free rides. Most times it was embarrassing because some of them just drove off angrily. All this I had to do, but I just kept, looking forward and, trusting that something comes through. Fast forward to 2020, I joined Coza during the 12 Days of Glory, and I began to hear the word differently. Prior to this time, I was also concerned because I had a very excellent bachelor's degree. I had graduated in the first class category, as well as with a distinction in my master's. And I believe so strongly that academic prowess was equal to financial success in life. Or perhaps I was wrong. One of the first things I learned when I came to Coza was Baba had thoughts on the 2 levels of knowledge, and he said that there is a level of knowledge called gnosis, and there is yet a higher level of knowledge called epignosis. And you must work hard, but in all that you do, you must leave a space for God. And I felt, wow, this was it. So I decided squarely, to do whatever I needed to do, but always leave a space for God. So we continued. The situation did not change automatically. As a matter of fact, at this time, the devil began to attack our marriage. It became so intense that at some point, divorce looked like the only way out. It was at this time I stumbled on one of Baba's messages that he titled Financial Harvest. And in it, he said that if you are genuinely connected, you must go for this grace for high finance. And he added by saying that this, for lack of it, is the reason you keep striving with your wife. Wow, that was like a message directed to me. And again, out of hunger and desperation for this grace, I had to start looking for other pastors' messages on finance. And again, I found something, another one he titled The God of Nevertheless. And in it, he said something very phenomenal, that God does not operate in an atmosphere of strife. And he added by asking a question: would you rather continue to strive with your spouse and then suddenly wake up at 70 to realize that you would have done better? And deep within me, I thought, God forbid. And so I took an active decision to go for this grace, no matter the cost. In the middle of all of this, I did a whole lot just to put food on the table, and including being an Uber driver. I had driven the Uber until somewhere in 2021, first quarter. The owner of the car decided to retrieve it, and it was like going back to square one. At this point, because I had been taught, and again, Pastor was running a series on Thanksgiving. So rather than slip into depression and worry, I switched to Thanksgiving. And that became my attitude from then going forward. During the 90 Days Transformation Challenge in 2021, I got an offer with an international organization, and it was a very good offer. Life became good again. We bounced back. The debts were cleared. Everyone was good, However, the contract was for just 6 months, and there was no provision for renewal afterwards. So in November, at the end of the contract in 2021, I wrote to a sister organization to ask if I could be granted a space for even volunteering, pending when something comes up with them. And surprisingly, they wrote back to say, well, we may not have you as a volunteer, rather we will get you in as a team member and we will pay you. It was a cheering news for me, and I really anticipated that job, which was to commence in January 2022. However, in January, I didn't hear from them, and when I inquired, I was told the director was yet not back from holiday. In February, I got an invite for an interview with the same organization, which I did, and then in March, they wrote me to say, sorry, although we were impressed with your performances, but we've had to move on with a more qualified candidate. This devastated me a lot, but again, because I've been taught in the house of Coza, I just continue to give thanks and not forgetting all that I've been taught, sowing my seeds, declaring my words, going for evangelism, of course, serving in the house, and of course, sending out more applications. So between January 2022 and June, I have sent out a lot of applications, of which I got feedbacks inviting me for interviews. So I had attended a couple of interviews, but all of them still came back with the same reports, and I continue to just look forward to something better. So on the 28th of June 2022, I was in Lagos. And then during the Coza Tuesday service, Mommy did declare that in 7 days, God will show forth his glory.
He says that you tell one person everything that has gone wrong in the next 7 days. I'm going to shake heaven, I'm going to shake the earth. I'm going to shake heaven, I'm going to shake the earth. And I'll bring to you the glory that is due to my name.
I took that prophecy personally and I ran with it. Prior to this time, I had experienced short-term breakthroughs. Something comes up and in 3 to 6 months, it nosedives. It continued for a while and I knew I had to consciously deal with it. So when I came back from Lagos, I had to meet Mami D on the 4th day of the 7th DG, and I told her the experiences. And of course, I had 1 or 2, 3 interviews to attend in July. So she prayed for me and said, from this day forward, there will be no more delays, no more rejections, and no more denials. She added by saying that at the interview, you will speak wisely and you will know how to behave wisely. And then she concluded by saying that you are the man for the job. And then, of course, during the 7th DG, Pastor declared that after this conference, the people that will meet you will know that you've been with the Lord. And in a later service, he declared prophetically that in August, the things that have been impossible will become possible, that you have that job.
You are getting a new job. You are moving up. I pray for you again. What looked impossible will become possible. Receive a job that will comfort you on every side. Can I have a receiving amen, somebody?
And whoa, that was it for me. I didn't need further conviction to know that I already had that job. So I went for my interviews on the 8th of July, 3 interviews in 1 day. 2 of them returned with the same old stories, but I didn't mind. 1 eventually came up with something cheering, and I ran with it. And I knew that God's hand was on this one. Eventually, I was invited for a 2nd and a 3rd stage interview, and finally, the process continued. Long story short, I've returned with a praise report to the glory of God that I have received an offer from one of the biggest multinationals in this country. And I mean, the offer is a reflection of Proverbs 4:18. I just want to say thank you, Jesus, because this is just an amazing offer. And of course, I can't finish this testimony without giving a very big appreciation and thanks to my quintessential parents in the Lord, the Reverend Biodo and Pastor Modele Fatombo, who have really been worthy vessels in the Lord's vineyard. I mean, I couldn't ask for better parents. You've taught me to love God. You've built my faith. You've shown me a unique model of marriage and raising children. And above all, you've inculcated in me a value for excellence. I love and celebrate you.